saw the best movie of the summer in my opinion, and it was Pacific Rim. I am so excited about this movie. I ran home and did my hair and put it all up because I wanted to do a YouTube review video. And caution, this video will have spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, don't watch this video. Go out and see the movie because it deserves every last penny it makes. It's so good, so caution, don't keep watching if you haven't seen the movie. Go see the movie and then watch my review. So, how badass was that movie? Oh my gosh, I did not breathe through the entire film. At the end of the movie, my chest hurt because I held my breath so much. So intense, but it kept me... Sometimes with movies these days, I feel like I guess the plot too much, either in the trailer, which A, I won't go see the movie if I can just guess the movie in the trailer. I mean, who does? But if I can just kind of guess the plot, like halfway through the movie, I'm like, well, you know, he's gonna die, or this person, they're gonna end up together, just nothing fun comes from it, I kind of tune out. But this movie really kept my interest. And I really enjoyed the style of the movie. It was so bright and colorful, but yet so intense because of the special effects that everything was going through. I kind of described this movie as, I mean, you could say however you want, whatever you want about the movie, but I think it was kind of a mix between Cloverfield and a little bit of Transformers, like on a much grander scale and much better. Not a big Transformers fan, but that's what I kind of see it as. And I really enjoyed this video, mainly just because the art direction was just so beautiful, and it kept me glued to the screen, literally glued. I don't think I blinked. I really don't think I blinked. And if I would have seen it in 3D, I probably would have the biggest headache right now just because of the difference of whatever. And so I'm a huge fan of Guillermo del Toro. I think he's amazing. I think he's a great director, and I think he puts a lot of thought into his movies. I mean, he researches art, which I find wonderful. I mean, being an artist and a cosplayer and all this cool stuff. So Guillermo del Toro is one of my favorite directors, and I wanted to start out this video by talking about, I recently read through the development that he took a lot of influence from Francisco Goya's work, piece called The Colossus, and it's a really influential piece for him through this movie, because once you see the movie, then view the painting, you're like, oh, yeah, got it. So I guess that was one of the big things I wanted to share, and it's just basically monsters versus robots in the Pacific Ocean on a grander, classier, beautiful scale. You have the Jaegers, which are the man-made robots that require two pilots to function them to beat up these kajus, which are monsters that are being generated onto the ocean through this thing called the break and the neck, or I'm not sure. But anyways, the movie is just so intense. So you know, you have your list of characters, your washed out pilot, your rookie, your kind of not stereotyped, but kind of stereotyped other people, you know, the stern marshal, and then the kind of goofy guys, and the comedy. But I think this movie really blended it all so well together that I was really excited about it. And I'm a huge fan of Charlie Day, and I think he kind of made or break the movie. He was a good comedy punchline throughout the movie with his little kind of wacky antics, but I really enjoyed his role. I mean, it was a lot more important than I thought he would be. I thought he would just be like a little sidekick character that people really didn't care about, but him and the other guy whose name's slipping me, like I don't know, the British man with the cane, the mathematician, their little bantering back and forth was really excellent, and it really did a lot for the film, and you find at the end of it that their research and everything was worth it. So I really was happy that they decided to put him in there in this spot. He wasn't so overbearing as a comedian, but he kept the movie going at a good flow. And then plus putting Ron Perlman in there was just epic, because if anybody's a sci-fi fan or just basically a fan of film, everybody knows Ron Perlman's excellent, because hello, and him and Guillermo del Toro are BFFs, so you know, seeing him in there was really exciting, and his role was pretty funny, and especially how he got it in the end was pretty hilarious too. I thought the costumes in this movie, even though they get a different thought in their mind when they say costumes, people think dresses and women's wear and kind of this crazy flowy and ornate and elaborate costumes, but these were really cool. They were very futuristic and yet apocalyptic, especially with Ron Perlman and his little crew. It was very Oriental inspired, but yet gangster in a way. And he kind of screamed a little steampunk to me with those glasses. I was really excited. I saw those. I was like, whoa, kind of a reference to Hellboy a little bit and steampunk. I thought that was really kind of cool. And another thing that I really thought was interesting is how Guillermo del Toro kept like old things in the movie, such as the scene where the two main guys are in talking to Charlie Day and the mathematician about ways to kill these people. And you know, of course, Charlie's like, you know, his is a science background, and the other guy's is a math background. But the fact that Charlie the whole time was chopping up this kaju brain or something, whatever he was working on, and then the mathematician was working on chalkboard. Several different chalkboards, looked like an old Yale professor from the 50s, and he was just sliding back. I mean, he could have been on some kind of Iron Man weird, you know, computer moving things with his hands, kind of like he got on later, kind of a couple minutes after that whole chalkboard scene. But the fact that he kept the chalkboard there, I thought that was really cool. I was like, that's really interesting. Just the subtle details that Guillermo del Toro keeps in movies is what really keeps me excited. And the little scene when the Jaeger hits the pier and it kind of almost knocks off a bird, but yeah, just taps it and the bird realizes and kind of just flutters away. Or the scene when the Jaeger runs through the building and then hits those little balls that kind of, you know, go back and forth like this. I mean, those subtle little instances really kept me going. I thought that was so interesting that he put that in there. I was really excited about this movie mainly because it was different. The movies I get excited about anymore are comic book movies, action movies that I've either read books about or comic books or, you know, something as a reference. I don't. And sometimes these movies these days don't really catch me from the trailers. I'm a bit of a harsh judge when it comes to film. I really want this movie to be good to see it. So I saw the trailer a long time ago. I don't remember when it was released, but it caught me quick. And any kind of Guillermo del Toro movie I'll go see just because of his artistry behind it and his direction. This movie just caught me and I was just blown off my feet. I think everyone needs to go see it now. You should not be watching this video if you haven't seen the movie yet. I enjoyed the cast, but some things were a little cliche, like some of the lines that they would say, and I was like, whatever, but I enjoyed the cast. And one of my biggest things that I really enjoyed about it was that it wasn't romantic, but it was romantic, but in a way that you're not having sex with each other, you're fighting each other, but it's a connection thing, it's a trust thing. I was reading a lot about how his movie was all about trusting one another and having these two pilots in a Jaeger the whole time, you know, drifting in their minds together as they're blending into one. It's all about trusting each other. And the diversity that this movie brought in was just amazing. And it wasn't so over diverse that you were really like, okay, this is enough. But it was enough to where you really felt like the world was one for the Kaji War, or whatever they called it. I thought that was really interesting, the diversity that was in the film. And I was reading a lot about, and I caught on this with the main girl character and the main guy character, that Guillermo didn't want them to have this romance that you could see just flourishing and blooming throughout the movie, because that's not what the movie was about. The movie was about, you know, getting these Jaegers to kill Kaju, but these characters would connect and you would see it. And he talked about he wanted to film or put as much intensity in a romantic sex scene and their fighting scene when he's trying out candidates to be his other half, and she ended up fighting him. He filmed that scene with that same intensity, so you could see that there was a connection and there was a flower blooming, but it wasn't a strip your clothes off and let's get naked type scene. It was very interesting that you could see that intensity, but in a different light. So fast forward to the end of the movie. I was really happy they did not kiss. I was like, that would be awkward and nothing that I was expecting, and be kind of upset if they did. So I guess those were some things that I really liked about the movie, and here are some things I didn't really like about the movie, or that I wish they expanded on a little bit, or I wish they just would have given me a little bit more. One thing was that I thought it was either hard to hear or hard to understand them. I know this was an intense film, and they put a lot in there, and you need to really pay attention, but there was some dialogue that I know I missed, and I will gladly go see the movie again, but it was tough to follow along at some points because there's so much going on, but you're like, oh, what did you say? I didn't quite hear that, but I know that's important because I didn't hear it. So I thought that was kind of a downplay. Another thing I really wanted to see was that scene off the coast of Hong Kong where they fight those two kaiju that just come right out of the ocean quick. Where we see the Russian robot and the Asian robot and I call it the Australian one, but the ones with the Australians in it. When they all go out there, the Jaegers, they go out there and start fighting the kaiju. I was really excited to see, because they kind of talked up these people. They were like, you know, that Jaeger is the Russian one, and it's the biggest and baddest and everywhere, and strong as a horse or whatever. And then they had those triplets, and with that third arm with the razor and the little things, I was like, oh, I can't wait to see these guys fight. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 they're all gone. Well, not the Australians, you know, that actually lived, which I was really excited that they kept those guys around. I was kind of sad if they kill all those off so fast, but I mean, I know they wouldn't because they kept the people. You know, you knew more about those two guys instead of the Russians and the triplets, which I was really hoping to see those robots kind of fight like crazy, but they were kind of taken down almost as fast as stormtroopers in Star Wars who can't shoot. I mean, I was really like, oh, I want to see it go. That was the thing I was kind of bummed about, but there was a lot in this movie that, you know, there was a lot of story behind, so I could see why they didn't build those characters as much as they did, but they looked cool, so, oh well. Another thing that I found was interesting, not necessarily a dislike, was how long that opening was. Good lord. I was the most intense, coolest opening I've ever seen for a movie, aside from the Bond movies, you know? And I was not ready for the Pacific Rim title to come across the screen, and I was like, wait, what? Oh, that was the opening? Holy cow. I need a break, you know, for a little bit. Just, it was so intense. It was throwing at you so fast. And you were just like, what's the concept of this Jaeger? Why are they having a war? Where are these things coming from? I don't know. But that was really kind of like, what? I thought the concept behind the Jaegers were really interesting. How, you know, it took the two pilots to meld together through drifting to operate these things. But I thought it was neat as how, you know, the hand that would go into the plasma gun, oh, that was really cool. And of course, the one hand that would go into the sword, which kind of was, I think this is a Guillermo little side note, that he is a man of the olden days, or he likes the older weapons. So when the plasma gun went out, they're like, oh yeah, psh, we have a sword. I was like, well, why didn't we break that out before? That thing is insane. My sister even made the point that it was probably made of Valyrian steel, if you know what I mean. You Game of Thrones people out there, you know what I'm talking about. All in all, I think this movie was excellent. It might be my best of the summer if Wolverine doesn't, you know, come out of left field and sweep me off my feet and swoon me, which I have a feeling it will because I love Wolverine. But so far, Pacific Rim is absolute my favorite. It was exciting, it was fun, it was dramatic, it had everything. I really want to see it again, and if I want to see a movie again in the theaters, that's an Amanda stamp of approval. That means good job, movie. You did well. So make sure you subscribe below and comment, because I want to see what your all's movies that you want me to review, because I think this might be a little start for my little channel. I love talking about movies, and I might talk about more. Who knows? I might talk about TV shows. Everyone knows that I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, so I might be talking about that. But anyways, subscribe below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.